Welcome back, yogis. Today we're going to do one of my more favorite classes. Lots of twists, lots of side planks. But first, let's go ahead and find a comfortable seated position and focus in on our breath. If you'd like, you can sit in a modified hero's pose like I am, with the block in between your ankles, giving yourself a little bit of height in the hips, which will allow you to lengthen the spine, especially if you have a tight lower back or tight hamstrings. And that will also take away some of the intensity for the flexion in the knees. For some of us, it's very uncomfortable to sit with the knees closed quite that intensely. With the hands in your lap, close your eyes if you haven't already and start to breathe, lengthening the breath, feeling the breath at your nose. How does it feel right at the tip of your nose, your nostrils? And then follow the breath into the body and notice how it feels as you expand. And then continue to follow that breath as you release it back out through the nose. If you haven't already, feel free to start adding the Ujjayi style of breathing, or that Darth Vader breathing. And really just take the next few breaths to focus in on how it feels. Is there a temperature associated with your breath? Is there a body to the breath? Maybe you're in a more humid or a more dry climate that affects how it feels. Are there any emotions that you associate with the breath? Any colors? We'll take a breath or two more. And then when you're ready, we're going to come onto all fours. You can put the block over to the side. Go ahead and stretch out the back of the knee one leg at a time, reaching the foot behind you, maybe rocking back and forth on the toes, stretching out the bottom of the foot as well, pressing the back of the kneecap towards the sky. Switch sides if you haven't already. You can also take a couple of ankle circles here if that feels good. We just want to release and let the blood flow back into the back part of the knee. Bring both knees back to the ground and find your tabletop. And then we're going to start to warm up the wrists. So rolling around the wrists, creating circles with your shoulders as they wrap around the wrists. You'll get also some hip circles here, but the focus is really on your wrists. Go ahead and flip one hand so that the fingertips are facing your knees, palms to the ground. And then if you can, other hand as well. If this is a little too uncomfortable for you, you can do one hand at a time. And gently rock back and forth. Maybe picking up the heels of your hands as you sink the hips closer to the heels. Noticing how your wrists feel. It's very important to listen to them in this type of practice. Go ahead and sit back into hero's pose, interlock the fingers, and give yourself some circles with the hands and the wrists. And then release, bring the hands out in front, interlock, and then you're going to flip them up and through, and then release back. So opposite hand on top, palms together, thumbs to the ground. Sweep the thumbs in towards your sternum and then stretch back out as much as you can, as much as your wrists will allow you to. Gently release and then give your wrists some shakes. Even though we won't be doing any handstands, anytime you are doing a chaturanga strong practice, make sure you give your wrists some love so that you don't injure yourself as you flow through those poses. Go ahead and come back to table, and we'll take a few cat-cows. And then when you're ready, extend one leg behind you, keeping the back nice and flat, keeping the hips square. Really squeeze the lower belly in towards the spine, and then extend the opposite arm. On an exhale, elbow and knee tap. Inhale to extend. Go as slow or as quickly as works for you. The focus here is really on maintaining your balance and scooping the belly as you tap the elbow and knee together. Release the hand and then roll open, keeping that back foot floating if you can. If that's not an option for you, you can bring the foot to the ground. We're going to find a modified side plank, which actually is just as challenging for some people, even though your knee is on the ground. And let's add some hip strength here, gently tapping the toe to the ground and extending back up to parallel. Engaging the core so that you maintain your balance. And then if you'd like that quad and hip stretch, you can grab a hold of the foot, push the foot into the hand, open up the front of your body. Gently release, and we will come back to center. Continue to keep the back foot lifted and give your bottom knee a little bit of love. So if you need some extra cushion, feel free to roll up your mat or readjust. And then we're going to go ahead and reach back for the foot again, focusing more on a back bend here, pushing the foot into the hand and opening up the front of the body. Gently release, both knees and hands on the ground, and then tuck the toes, push back to downward facing dog. Go ahead and take a few moments in downward facing dog to get settled. If that means walking your dog, that works. If you'd like to maybe play with stretching out the toes, you can push up onto the balls of the feet and then release the heels. Wherever you are, come back onto your knees, finding tabletop and taking a few more cat-cows, finding the full range of motion of your spine as you arch and round the back, working with your breath. And then we'll move to the other side. Extend that opposite foot out. Flex the foot, toes towards the ground. Opposite arm reaches. And on an exhale, tap the elbow and knee. Find length on the inhale. Exhale, tap. So again, focusing on balance and also focusing on hollowing out the front of the body as you try to bring the elbow and knee together. Work slow with control as though you're moving through some kind of resistance. Go ahead and roll open. So now your chest and your hips are facing the same side of the mat, finding that modified version of side plank. For a little bit more support, you can kick the bottom foot out behind you for more of a tripod. If you'd like to challenge yourself, try to keep the foot as close as you can in a line with the knee. Add those lifts, engaging the outside part of your hip. Maybe noticing a little bit of your obliques working as well. And then when you're ready, bring the foot behind and open up your hip and your quad. Maybe a little bit of the shoulder, but I want the focus first to be on the front of your legs. Come back to center and we will shift the focus now to that back bend. So reaching behind the back, opposite foot to back leg, pushing the foot into the hand and finding a deep back bend. Now we're not super warm here, so please listen to your body. Maybe don't go quite so deep on that first back bend. Go ahead and release, tuck the toes, and push back to down dog. And we'll take a breath or two here, Feel free to continue to walk out your dog again if that feels good. If you have really tight hamstrings, maybe keep the knees slightly bent and focus on lengthening your lower back, reaching out through the tailbone. And then as you start to get warm, you can start to straighten the legs. On your next exhale, gently step forward, forward fold. Inhale, flatten the back, bringing the hands to your shins for support. Release. And on your next inhale, rise all the way up, reaching for the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Inhale, grow tall, mountain. Hook the thumbs and extend to one side, half moon. Come back to center and reach over to the other side, making sure that your top shoulder is staying open. You're not collapsing the top shoulder in order to create that side bend. Go ahead and fold forward on your next exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And we'll give our wrists just a little bit more love here. Bend the knees as much as you need to in order to bring the palms underneath the feet, palms up. And then wiggle your toes. Give your wrists a little massage. Release and inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Hands back to your heart on the exhale, belly button towards your spine. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale to one side, using your hips as a counterweight, pushing your hips in the opposite direction of your hands. And then to the other side. Back to center. And exhale, dive forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, and gently step back to plank. Go ahead and roll over onto one side, finding our first side plank, stacking the shoulders, fingertips reaching towards the sky. You can stagger the feet if you need to make it a little bit easier, or you can always bring that bottom knee to the ground. Go ahead and come to center and gently come to the ground, pushing back up to plank. So a little yogi push-up there. Go ahead and twist over to the other side, finding your balance, stacking your feet, stacking your shoulders, really reaching through the top fingertips. And then come back to center. You can drop the knees and take that yogi push-up. And then everyone will meet back in down dog, taking a few breaths here. We will add on to those side planks. Remember, you can always take chaturanga on your knees, or you can skip it altogether, especially if your wrists are bothering you. Maybe skip it and just go straight to down dog. One more breath, reaching through the tailbone, and then exhale, step forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, relax the head and neck. And then inhale, reverse swan dive, rise to the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, grow tall. Keep that length as you reach to one side. On the next breath, come back to center and reach to the opposite side, noticing maybe you can get a little bit deeper into those side bends. Back to center, hinge at the hips and fold forward, rounding at the last moment. And then inhale back to a flat back. Exhale, fold, and gently step back to plank. Rocking over onto one side, stack the feet, or modify if you need to. And then this time we're going to add a twist so that floating hand reaches underneath the body and then back to the sky. Exhale, twist. Inhale, extend to the sky. Exhale, inhale. One more time. back to side plank, and then come back to center. This time we're going to work through our flow, finding back bend of your choice, cobra or up dog, and then pushing back to down dog. On your next inhale, one foot comes up, reach out through the heel, and on an exhale, gently step that foot forward. And we'll roll open into our first twist towards the front knee, making sure that your weight is very, very gentle and light on the bottom hand, and that you're not dumping all of your weight into that hand to create the twist. Release and gently step forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, reverse swan dive towards the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. We'll take that to the other side. Inhale. Exhale, half moon. Open up the side. Back to center. And then to the other side. Back to center. Release the hands and dive forward. Forward fold. Inhale, find length as you reach out through the crown of the head. And then release and step back to plank. So this time we're going to roll over and find side plank on the opposite side. Reach, reach, reach with that top hand, and then on an exhale, twist under the body. Inhale, exhale. Go nice and slow. This is all about keeping stable and really engaging your obliques as you create the twist. Reach as far as you can under the body. Good. Go ahead and come back to center, and we'll take a vinyasa. You can always skip it and go straight to down dog. And then on an inhale, the opposite foot is going to float towards the sky. Hips stay square, big toe pointed towards the ground. And on an exhale, gently step the foot through and create your easy twist towards that front leg. Again, making sure that your hips stay square. We have a tendency to drop the hip of the back leg. Bring that hip up a little bit. Hip of the front leg squares down towards the ground, and that will help you prevent dumping weight into the hand. Release and step forward, finding your half lift, and then fold on your exhale. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, side bend, hips push in the opposite direction for your counterbalance. Back to center. Opposite side, really engaging the core to protect your back as you lean a little bit deeper each time. Center. Fold forward on your exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and gently step back. You guessed it. Find side plank. Reach towards the sky as though that top hand was going to lift you off the bottom hand. And then let's add those same leg lifts that we did in our modified side plank. Really engaging the outer hip and outer thigh to lift the leg. Come back to center and flow through your vinyasa, making your way to down dog. It's okay if you don't have a whole lot of height when you lift the leg. The more you practice, the stronger you'll get. Inhale, one foot comes up. Exhale, gently step the foot all the way through. And find that easy twist. Really engaging the back muscles to pull the back shoulder blade down. And then we're going to flow through and come into a twisted crescent pose. So your opposite arm should be gliding down the back leg. Go ahead and windmill down and step together, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale to the sky. Exhale to your heart center. Moving to the other side, inhale, grow tall. Keep that length as you create the extension in the side, center, opposite side body, center, hinge at the hips and fold forward, releasing the head and neck, and then inhale, lengthening through the head and neck. Exhale, gently step back to plank and find your side plank on the opposite side. Keep the hips lifted as you engage the thigh of the upper leg, lifting up, finding as much height as you can without rotating the toes towards the sky. Keep the outside of your ankle towards the sky, and then come back to center. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, opposite foot reaches up, and then on an exhale, gently step it through, making sure you have plenty of space between the feet. Find your easy twist first, engaging the back to create the twist, and then on an exhale, gently flow through your unsupported twist, and reach the opposite hand down the back thigh. Definitely a challenging one for your balance. One more breath, and then windmill the hands to the ground and gently step together, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, squeeze the belly button towards the spine. Inhale. Exhale, half moon. Back to center. Exhale, squeeze the belly button to the spine to support yourself. Back to center, and then fold forward. Inhale, reach through the crown of the head, and fold again, gently stepping to plank. Go ahead and rock over onto your first side, finding side plank, and then try picking up the top foot and finding tree pose. Once you have found stability in tree pose, really lift the hips as high as you can, engaging the bottom part of your side, that bottom oblique, to push the hips high. And then go ahead and try to extend that leg out in front, floating with the foot, using your core. Back to center, flow through your vinyasa, and make your way to down dog. On the inhale, pick up one foot, hips stay square, reach through the heel. Exhale, step the foot all the way through. And this time, after we find our easy twist, we're going to go ahead and rise up into your reverse crescent pose, opening up the front side. And then we'll take it a step further by windmilling the hands open into Warrior Two. From Warrior Two, find extended side angle. Now you can take the fingertips to the ground if you're comfortable and warm like I am. Otherwise, just barely touch your elbow to your knee. Wherever you are, release and step forward, forward fold, flattening the back on the inhale. Exhale, back to your forward fold. And then on your next inhale, reverse swan dive, rise all the way up, tall mountain. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale to one side. Back to center. Exhale to the other side, listening to your body, making sure you're not overstretching. Back to center, and then fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold and step back, finding plank and then rolling over to the other side. Now I want you to notice as you find these tree legs, feel the openness in your hips as you drive the knees straight towards the sky. And you should feel the same openness when we find Warrior Two in just a moment. Bring the knees slightly in front of the hips and engage the core. Try to keep the foot floating as you reach it straight out in front. And then release, come back to plank and exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, exhale. Opposite side, pick up the foot. And on an exhale, bring it through. Finding your easy twist first, really engaging the back, drawing the shoulder blade onto your back, and then reversing, coming into that twisted crescent pose. And then as you windmill, instead of coming to the ground, windmill the hands open into Warrior Two. Notice how the hip feels of that front leg. Same sensations from tree pose. Find extended side angle. And then release and step forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again, grow tall. Exhale to one side. Back to center. Exhale to the other side. Back to center. And then fold forward. Inhale, flat back. And gently release, fold, and step back. Let's find our side plank on our first side. We're going to build off of that tree pose. So instead of bringing the top leg into tree pose, try bringing the bottom leg into tree pose. You have to really engage the core to keep the knee from touching the ground. Just like we floated a straight leg with the top, let's do it again with the bottom. Gently release and take your vinyasa. So when you're extending that top leg out, you're using more of the outer part of your hip and thigh. When you're extending the bottom leg out, more of your inner. From down dog, split your dog, and then exhale, step that foot through. Easy twist first. Flowing back into your reverse crescent pose, keeping the twist. Opposite hand down the back leg, and then windmill open into Warrior Two. Make sure you have enough space because we're going to gently step forward into half moon. I know there's 2 half moons in this practice. It's very confusing. And if you have it in your practice, go ahead and reach behind, grabbing a hold of the foot for Chapasana. Opening up the front of your body, especially the front of your hip and your quad. With control, release, coming back to your forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Inhale. Exhale to one side. Now the reason there's 2 half moons really depends on the style of practice that you're used to. Other side, these half moons come from Bikram, exhale, fold, forward fold, and our balanced half moon is more of a Ashtanga and Vinyasa style practice. Making your way to side plank on the other side, let's start with that bottom variation of tree pose. Lifting the knee away from the ground, engaging the core, and then shifting some of that engagement to your inner thigh. One more breath. and release, flowing all the way through to down dog. Inhale, opposite foot rises up, split down dog. On an exhale, sweep that foot through, finding your easy twist, really using the strength of your back to create the twist, and then rising up, flowing through your unsupported version, and then gliding the back hand down the back thigh. On an exhale, windmill the hands to warrior two. Again, make sure you have enough space because we'll step forward into that balanced version of half moon. Hips stacked, shoulders stacked. The foot can be parallel with the ground. And then if you'd like to add on the bind, grabbing a hold of the big toe or the ankle, whatever you can reach. Very gently with control, try not to slingshot the foot back. Release, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, folding again. Inhale, rising up. Hands back to your heart center. Inhale. Exhale, fold. No side bends that time. We did lots and lots of work attacking your core from pretty much every angle with the side planks and the twists. So just relax here in forward fold. Wrap your hands around the elbows, maybe sway side to side. If you really have tight hamstrings and you are still uncomfortable with straight legs, keep the knees bent. And then release the hands to the ground and gently step one foot back, softening the knee to the ground, and we're going to find lizard pose. So both hands are on the inside of that front foot. Maybe if you have the space, you can bring the elbows to the ground. If you do not have the space in lizard pose, you can always bring the elbows to a block instead. Feel free to stay here if that feels good. Otherwise, we'll rise back up onto our hands, find an easy twist, and follow it all the way through so that the floating hand reaches towards the back foot. Your weight is on the outside edge of both feet. Release back to center, and then we're going to make our way into the pose that we have been working towards. Side plank with a yogi toe lock. Go slow. Find your balance. It's okay if you can't straighten that front leg. Gently bring it back down. And let's find lizard pose again. So you could have stayed in lizard pose that whole time. That would have been perfectly fine. If you'd like to take this a little bit further, go ahead and roll yourself into a twist towards that front knee. And if you feel comfortable adding on the quad stretch, grab a hold of the back foot. And you can play with this by pulling the heel closer to your hips for more of a quad stretch, or pushing the foot into the hand for more of a heart opener and a back bend. Wherever you are, we're going to gently make our way back to plank. I added a little bit of difficulty there by going to plank from lizard pose. And then let's all release our hips to the ground for Sphinx, opening up the heart, keeping the neck neutral, so reaching through the crown of the head rather than the chin. And then when you're ready, release and find your way back to down dog. We're going to take that to the other side. So opposite foot steps towards the outside of the mat, both hands on the inside of your ankle, back knee to the ground, cushion it up if you need to, and then maybe you stay on the palms, maybe you come down onto the elbows. Absolutely your choice on what feels best for your body today. If you would like, you can stay there, or you can rise up, find your easy twist, and roll onto the outside edge of both feet, dropping your hip towards the ground, reaching the top fingertips towards the back of your mat, and then rolling back towards the front of your mat, getting ready for that challenging side plank, finding your yogi toe lock first, and then lifting that foot high to the sky. Now you can see why it's so important to engage the bottom part of your body, keeping the hips high as you lift the toes. Release, and let's all come back to lizard pose. Again, staying here, or if you'd like to add on, creating that gentle twist towards your front knee, and then picking up the back ankle, grabbing a hold, and deciding if you want to focus on the quad stretch by pulling the foot towards your hips, or the heart opener by pushing the foot into your hand. Whichever you decided to do, go ahead and release, come back to lizard pose, and then if you can, find plank with the forearms on the ground. One more breath, and then release into Sphinx pose, opening up the front of the body, stretching out not only the abs, but also the heart. And then release, and gently push yourself back to down dog. Now, if your wrists are bothering you a bit, I have good news. We are done with the flow portion of our class, so your wrists will get a little bit of a break after this final down dog. One more breath. And on your next exhale, go ahead and release the knees to the ground and gently sit back, rocking over the ankles or swinging the ankles around. Extend one leg out in front of you and bring the opposite sole of your foot to the inside thigh. Inhale, exhale, fold out over that leg. Inhale to a flat back, and then exhale, relax a little bit deeper. So if you do have really tight hamstrings and you are finding some of those transitions challenging, this is a good opportunity to stretch the hamstrings back out, one leg at a time. Gently release, roll yourself back up to upright, and pick that knee up, sole of the foot towards the ground on the inside of your extended leg. And then let's find a gentle twist, really hugging around the knee first, finding lots of length in the spine as you twist. And then release, and push the hips up into Wild Thing. So slightly different transition into Wild Thing. Release the hips back down to the ground, and now let's take that twist a little bit deeper. You can keep the foot where it is, or you can cross the foot over your extended leg. Either way, hook your elbow across the knee. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist. And then release. And we'll find reverse table, opening up the front of the body after that twist. And then hips back down to the ground, opposite side. Opposite leg extends out, opposite sole of the foot to the inner thigh. Inhale to the sky, exhale, fold. Inhale, flatten out the back, just like you would in half lift. And then exhale, fold a little deeper. Really focus on connecting the belly button with the top of the thigh, your heart with your knee, and your nose with your shin. Even if you don't have that flexibility, keep focusing on that length, and it'll help you protect the spine. Release, and let's find that easy hugging twist again. So knee comes up, sole of the foot on the ground, wrapping around the knee. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. And then gently release. Hips lift up, finding your wild thing. I have a wild thing joining me right now. Little kitty cat, very curious about what's happening. And we are totally twinning, black and white. Love it. Release, and let's find that deeper twist. So crossing the ankle over if that works for you, hooking your elbow around your knee, and then inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. Backhand is there for support. Really use that support to find length in the spine so that there's no pressure on your discs as you twist. Release, and you can find reverse table, or if you'd like to challenge yourself, reverse plank. Either way, opening up the front of the body. Hips come back down to the ground. Both legs stay extended this time. Inhale to the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold a little deeper. And if you'd like, if you have that block handy from the beginning of class, you can always take the block around the soles of the feet, not only to deepen the hamstring stretch, but also add a little bit of intensity in the calves and the ankles, depending on how your ankles roll. Wherever you are, gently release, and we'll roll down to the ground, one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow, engaging all those muscles we just used throughout our side plank practice. And then we're going to take our final set of back bends. So walk the heels in towards the hips and push the hips towards the sky. If you have the range of motion, interlocking the fingers under the body and rolling the chest open. Take one more breath. And then gently roll down one vertebrae at a time, really engaging the abs to control that roll down. Now, if your wrists are tired, go ahead and find bridge pose again. Otherwise, you can bring the hands over the head, and we will take wheel pose. A much, much deeper back bend, but also a much, much more intense wrist stretch. So you might be done with that piece for today. Wherever you are, release back down to the ground. Feet stay wide towards the edges of the mat, and tick-tock your knees back and forth. Gently release the back from that back bend. Knees come back to center. Bring the knees towards your chest. Give yourself a hug, maybe a rock side to side. And then keep one knee towards your chest, extend the opposite leg out. From here, keep the thigh as close as you can towards your chest and extend the leg. It's okay if the knee is still bent. It's also okay if you want to grab your strap. And if you'd like to make it a little bit more intense, engage the core and try to bring the forehead or the nose to the knee. Wherever you are, gently release and grab a hold of that floating foot with your opposite hand and pull the foot just about 4 to 6 inches across the body. Notice the stretch intensify in the outside part of your hip now. Go ahead and switch hands and open up the leg to the other side, getting more of an intense inner thigh stretch. You'll see my knee is bent because I do not have enough room, but if you can do that with a straight leg, that's even better. Go ahead and release, and this time cross a bent knee all the way over your body, finding a twist. If you would like to make this a little bit more intense, you can find Cupid's arrow. Otherwise, just focus on keeping both shoulders to the ground. Wherever you are, release back to center, both knees towards your chest. Rock side to side, massage out the lower back. And then opposite foot extends out, opposite knee stays hugged towards your chest or your shoulder. And then when you're ready, extend that leg. Find a nice deep hamstring opener. Grab your strap if you need it, or make it more intense by engaging the core, connecting the nose to your knee. Gently release back down. Opposite hand grabs a hold of the outside of the foot. Bring that foot, again, just slightly across the body. Your hips should not come up off the ground. And notice the stretch now into more of the IT band part of your leg, the outside part of your hip. When you're ready, switch hands again, and this time open up your foot to the same side, getting more of a stretch in the inner thigh and the groin. Gently come back to center, bend the knee, and drape it across the body for one more twist. Again, you can make this more intense by finding Cupid's arrow if that's in your practice, or just focus on keeping both shoulders connected to the ground. Using your exhales and contracting the core to support you in the twist. Even though it's a supine twist, it still will help you find a little bit more range of motion. Release, come back to center, knees towards your chest, and then grab a hold of the outside part of the feet or the big toes and find Happy Baby. In Happy Baby, I want you to think about rolling the tailbone down towards the ground. And then if you still have more range of motion, plugging the shoulders into their sockets. And then maybe playing by extending one leg and then the other. We'll take another breath or two here in Happy Baby. And then go ahead and bring the feet together. Soles of the feet together, knees wide. Wrapping the hands around the soles of the feet, let the weight of your feet pull your shoulders away from your ears. So you're stretching out your neck, tops of your shoulders. Let gravity pull the knees wide to stretch out the inner hips. And then release, knees come back together. Go ahead and guide your knees in some circles in either direction. Feel the massage in the lower back, which should feel really good after all of those side extensions in Half Moon. And then when you're ready, release and let the body relax into the floor. Starting with your toes and your ankles, notice that your feet probably start to roll open as you relax. Moving your attention up the legs, try to release the fronts of your shins, release your quads. Take a breath and notice your pelvis opening up as it spreads and stretches with gravity. Notice the upper body start to melt into the ground. More of your shoulder blades, more of your rib cage are connected with the ground. Relax your arms. Let the fingertips curl. And then bring your focus to your face and your neck. And I want you to let gravity pull any tension, any wrinkles out of that part of your body. Just let it go. Let the skin feel heavy and weighted towards the ground. Release any tension in your jaw. Make sure you're not clenching. Make sure you're not clenching that space in between the eyebrows. And just relax. We'll be here for another minute or so. Feel free to stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. Otherwise, we will start to make our way to a seated position by rolling over to our favorite side. And then after a few pats on the head, gently push up to a comfortable seated position. My twin and I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed your practice. I hope you got into a little bit more range of motion and strength for your side planks. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste. Bye-bye.